Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Worthy Conversation. I'm your host, your boy Wade J, and today we are discussing one of the most important issues facing our families, our churches, school, workplaces, and yes, our community, which is mental health. You know, for too long, mental health has been misunderstood, ignored, or hidden behind shame. And y'all know what I'm talking about, people. But today we are talking about solutions, education, healing, and hope. So today, guys, listen, I got my brother Terrance Randolph in the studio with me today. And this brother, I've been trying to get him on. He was busy last episode, but I got him today for you all. You asked for it. We want more information about mental health, and we're going to bring it to you. Okay? Everybody, let's put our hand together for brother Terrance. Listen, our guest is helping change conversation through mental health evolution, also known as MHE. And today we're going to learn about 4 pillars of mental health, why education matters, and how organization can be part of the solution. And today, you know, we're just going to break the stigma through education about mental health. Brother Terrance, welcome, brother.
Thank you, Brother Wade.
Yes, sir. Listen, Brother Terrance, tell us about yourself, however you want to tell us about, and what inspired you to start Mental Health Evolution.
For starters, I'm Terrance Randolph, University of North Carolina, Charlotte graduate, Army veteran, former probation officer in the great state of Mecklenburg County, there as we call it. But most recently, over the past few years, I went through a divorce with my first wife, and this is how I ended up dealing with mental health. Went through a divorce, going to work every day. Big shout out to Central Piedmont Community College, because that's where I was working at. And I had an older gentleman who was also a veteran. He kind of pulled me to the side and told me, I looked like I was on Skid Row in California. At that time, I was in my 30s.
Wow.
I didn't understand what he meant by Skid Row, so he told me, that's that row where it's a bunch of homeless people. So long story short, I was going to work every day, depressed, angry, mad, wanting to fight. And so something happened one day. I contacted my supervisor, and he told me, he said, AT, go over there, use your EAP, you get some free counseling services. I went over there, got those hours, but I also utilized my veterans benefits and got me a psychiatrist, a counselor, and a peer team. Now, why is that all important? Because I was in my 30s, and that was the first time I ever had a black man talk to me about mental health.
Wow.
And his name is Mr. Green, and I told him I love that guy because it opened up my eyes to what mental health is and not what I thought it was. And so that put me on my journey for understanding mental health. Now, let's fast forward. You asked a profound question. You said, what got me to start MHE? Well, I was a NAMI outreach coordinator for NAMI Piedmont Tri-County for Chester County. And one of the things I was realizing was telling people about getting in support groups, they need to understand why. They needed to know why. The parents need to know why. They should be attentive when it comes to learning about mental health, right? And so it was a tragic story for me, but it inspired me, meaning in 2023, my wife and I, my current wife, we had just came back from the Dominican Republic, having a great time drinking and partying. Found out on Thanksgiving Day she was pregnant. Fast forward, that same year, my father's birthday was December 11th. He just turned 72. I had just started working for NAMA PTC, and my father died 2 days before Christmas that same year in 2023. Now, all of a sudden, at 22 weeks, my wife and I found out our son had esophageal atresia and tetralogy flow, meaning his throat didn't connect, his heart had a valve that wouldn't shut.
Wow.
So he was facing an uphill battle, but he came at 33 weeks. He was thriving. He was looking good. He was gaining weight. He was getting prepared for his big boy surgery, I call it, until a tragedy happened. So that was 2 days before my 48th birthday in 2024. So my son died October 11th, my birthday, October 13th. That same year, our dog, beloved dog Roxy, had to be put down 2 days before Thanksgiving. So I'm dealing with 3 levels of grief and hurt and pain. I actually had reached and contacted my psychiatrist for medication, thinking it was for my father's death. Little did I know it was for my son's. And so, working with NAMI, I kept going, kept thriving, kept trying to put more good into the universe. Until I talked to my psychologist one day, and she told me, she said, Terrance, you got to have grace with yourself. You're a beautiful person. You're trying so hard to do so much good that I'm scared you'll fizzle out. And so it got to that point where working at NAMI, trying to tell people about why they should get involved with support groups, why they should address their mental health, I noticed it was a miscommunication between the communities and the healthcare providers. Now, I'm not a clinician. I teach non-clinical mental health education based on the 4 pillars, which is your brain. When my son transitioned, I went and got a certification in neuroscience because I wanted to understand what my brain was actually going to be processing.
Wow.
Then I started with the physical. So I looked at how my physical was going to be handling this, meaning stress, tension. Would I continue to work out? Would I start drinking more? Then I started looking at my faith, my spirituality. How does that impact me? Then I look at the last pillar, which is nutrition. How does this all impact us? So basically, I took a grief certification, neuroscience certification, and realized like our minds had so much to process going through grief, going through stress. And that's how the 4 pillars came about, because I want people to understand every day these 4 pillars are impacted.
Yeah.
And how do we build resilience? How do we get education in a non-clinical way? Through the MHE 4 pillars, which can be used to talk about how domestic violence impacts your 4 pillars. It's used for foster children, how growing up in a foster system with trauma can impact these children's behavior in schools. So all these pillars that we have are based on everyday life situations, whether it's incarceration, school children, gun violence, etc. So that's how so MHE came about due to tragedy and loss of my son and my father and my dog. And my son is, I tell people my son is the driving force behind this.
So go back to there, because I know we was talking off the camera. Your son is actually the one who put you on this road to destiny for mental health.
Yes. For mental health evolution, this is all based off of Hendrix Lamar Randolph.
Wow.
Rest in peace, son.
Yes, sir.
It's all based off of him, because this is what he put me on this mission for. And I tell people all the time, as I told you earlier, I didn't ask for this. I promise you I did not want this, but I know it's bigger than myself. And I know when somebody can see myself and my wife continue to move forward and grieve, mourn, but still love the life that he had and love the life that he has given me, the purpose, that's how you continue to honor him, in my opinion. And he really is the driving force behind this for me.
Good. Man, amen. That's outstanding. Sorry to hear about your son, your father, and your dog. But at least right now, I see you on the road to healing, to actually helping others to heal, which is a great mission to be on. Now, Terrance, for too long, mental health has been misunderstood, ignored, or hidden behind shame. Why? Let's talk about the brothers first. Why does brothers hide behind the shame of mental illness? Why are we so afraid? Why are we so ashamed to put it out there for the masses?
I think a lot of times, us as black men, we look at it as weakness.
Yeah.
And one of the things I want to tell our community is, it's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength to address something that you don't understand. So many times we've been taught, you don't talk about it. You go to church, you pray about it. You don't tell what happens in this house stays in this house. And a lot of times that's abuse and trauma.
Yes.
And when you're a child or you're an adult and you're dealing with that physical abuse, sexual assault, that can lead to suicidal tendencies.
Wow.
So us as men, we have taken on this machoism and thinking that not talking about mental health, not addressing my mental health, not taking my medication is brave. It's not brave. It's idiotic in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's detrimental. Not only to yourself, but your loved ones.
Yeah, because it could cause you to harm somebody else.
It could
hurt your family members.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of the things we don't want. What we want to do, especially with MHE, is teach the brothers in the community to look out for each other and look out for these signs. And that's one of the things when I was an outreach coordinator, I really did enjoy was getting educated and learning that there are signs. There are signs for suicide.
Right.
One of the biggest signs is people start giving away things. So when I see a brother who starts giving away something, especially a momentum that is a treasure to that brother, then I know it might be something off where he may be thinking about dying by suicide.
Right.
You notice I said dying by suicide because we don't say commit suicide. We say dying by suicide. So that's one of the things that stigma constantly follows us and thinking that we have to be macho and it's strength and not talking about it. It's not strength. It's strength when you can ask for help.
Yeah. I call it wisdom, man. I call it wisdom. I don't think it's a sign of weakness. I try to share it with the brothers and sisters I meet today. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom that you take and having enough wisdom to try to help yourself. Because here's the thing, Brother Terrance, how can you help someone else when you're not even helping yourself?
Right, and that goes back to one of the things. It's like love. When you can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself.
There you go.
That's just what it is. And one of the things that I really want people to understand about MHE is you'll hear me say all the time, we're non-clinical, meaning I'm not a clinician. My degrees aren't in mental health. But my experience has been an outreach coordinator. My experience has been an advocate. I've seen how mental health can impact us in a positive and negative way. We all know I'm a veteran, so 22 veterans die by suicide a day. So for me, that number is too high. For anybody, it should be too high.
Yes, sir.
So one thing we want to do is make sure we can address this in ways that the community can understand without the what we call medical jargon, without the clinician jargon. So everything we do is geared so it can be basically elementary so you can understand and to help our elders understand, help our youth understand. And that way we can be in the middle with the young children, the seniors, and the parents in the middle to be able to help start recognizing these signs and drop that suicide rate.
Yes, sir. So what are some more signs? You know, I was thinking, me and Pastor C.T. Kirk and I, we was talking on last episode, and we were saying that, you know, I was sharing about if a brother come home and he's blowing up about everything, just excessive anger all the time. He's angry about everything. That there may be some trauma going on behind that issue because, you know, normally just because a dish was left at the sink or something was undone, we don't blow up about it all the time. But it's, I think, increased anger. So it's something to look for. You know, isolation is something to look for.
Absolutely. When you're talking about suicide or you talking about depression, those are telltale signs. When people start being standoffish and they don't want to interact or they don't want to go outside that room, that is a telltale sign of depression. And one thing we want people to understand, or I want people to understand, there is no cure for mental health. There is coping mechanisms. There are the signs that we just talked about where when you start seeing somebody back off where they used to have fun all the time, but now they're not. They're drinking excessively. Now they're doing dangerous things like drinking and driving, abusing drugs.
Wow.
Then that becomes they might not be suicidal, but they don't care whether they live or die. Now, notice why I said they're not suicidal. They don't care whether they live or die. How do I know that? Because that was a position I was in when I was going through my first divorce.
Wow.
You know, a lot of times my practitioners say, did you feel suicidal? And I said, I didn't feel like ending my life, but I didn't care if my life ended. I didn't care if I got into it drinking and driving, I get killed. I didn't care if I got into an interaction with law enforcement and it ended badly for me. I didn't care because my mind was screaming out for help. And that's the thing. We start doing reckless things that's a sign of asking for help, but we don't know because we haven't been taught how to ask for help. And that's where we're coming in with mental health evolution to say, let us help you connect the dots. Let us help you look at this or get this presentation or look at this module so you can start connecting dots and having maybe some of those questions that you have answered. And that could open up that conversation.
So give our viewers a little more nuggets today. I know I'm going to put some of your modules up on the screen, but give us a little more nuggets what we can do to, help further that problem, that system, that situation, and efforts to get some help, to go in there and talk to somebody, therapy, go get some treatment, go get some help.
I'll say, for starters, if you are at a job that offers EAP, absolutely utilize that. Most churches, cathedrals, mosques, they do have spiritual faith leaders that you can talk to. And again, when we're talking, and I'm gonna mention MHE because this is a tool that those organizations, the pastor, you mentioned your pastor, those modules he could utilize for when he's just talking to men at a conference or just having a men's group meeting to be able to show them, like, if you start recognizing these signs. So that's why those modules matter. So I think, again, having those faith leaders understand, like, your role in that faith aspect can connect with these programs and introduce these to the people that otherwise might not want to hear it from a clinician. They don't want to go to a clinician if they don't understand why. But if you can talk to them as a pastor, show them this module, show them the beauty of learning how to cope, resilience, then that may open them up to having that conversation with a clinician and realize that, I need therapy.
Yeah, for my viewers out there, you keep using the word MHE. MHE. What does that mean? Mental health evolution. But what does that mean to us?
Mental health evolution means, when I say evolving how we see, speak, and talk about mental health, because so many times the stigma is what people speak of. So we're trying to evolve it, because a lot of us in our communities, in our Black communities, we really don't know how to talk about mental health. Our elders don't know how to talk about mental health. So we're going to evolve how we see and talk about it. It's not going to be that stigma where if you talk about killing yourself, then that's what you're going to do. No, we're evolving from that because we're educated now. We understand that you can have that conversation with someone and you can ask about that. You can ask without worrying about if they're going to do it. So we're evolving and how we talk about it. We want this to be round table discussions at your dinner table. We want this to be, again, if you have a church, mosque, and you have a conference, we want you to have these conversations with your with the people in your congregation. We want you to have these conversations with other faith leaders. We want you to put it together and be able to help address this in the community, because it's a community issue and problem.
Yeah. Outstanding. Mr. Terrance, listen, I noticed your slogan say, and this is your slogan, which I really like it, evolving how we see, speak, and talk about mental health. What does that slogan say to us? What does that mean?
It said we are in the year 2026, and we can't have the thinking about mental health like it's 1726 or 1986 for that matter.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is bring all this new knowledge into the present and the future so our children can have a better understanding. Because when they have a better understanding, we'll have a better understanding as citizens to combat suicide, to combat depression, to combat schizophrenia. Because again, all these things, there's no cure, it's managing. And then I always use as law enforcement. Why is CIT training important? Because we want an officer who's certified in that type of crisis to deal with that individual versus one who's not. Because if the officer has never been exposed to that CIT training, right, he or she may grab that weapon because the assailant or offender may be seen and threatening. But if an officer has CIT training, they recognize, like, wait a minute, something's off here. I went through that training. I can tell that they did you have your medication today? No, I didn't take it. Then that officer because of training and education.
De-escalate.
Right. So that is a community effort for everybody to play their part. And again, we're trying to evolve how we see, speak, and talk about mental health.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know you describe these modules as non-clinical education models.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And but many people hear mental health and immediately we think about counseling and therapy, which that's what I've been. How is your program different, Brother Terrance?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked because my wife, she actually is a associate, right? And she asked me that one day. She said, well, what would be the difference? I said, because clinicians are addressing the diagnosis. They're addressing if that client has schizophrenia, if that client has bipolar 2. What we do at MHE is we're opening your eyes to show you how those 4 pillars will impact that individual. We're telling you, if you have a child with autism and you may know some of the things about autism, let's show you how it can be impactful, not just for your child, but as an adult. What's happening. So we're basically giving education so people can start making better choices and better decisions, that when they do understand, like, oh, this is schizophrenia can impact my mental health in this regard. So then when they go to have that conversation with their clinician, then they can say, well, how can I get my mind to slow down, or how can I do this? And that clinician can have that conversation because of that diagnosis. So we just try to make sure we can connect the dots in a as I said, non-jargon way for clinicians to help their clients.
I really do, and I agree with you. I do believe education is a strong method of attacking and battling, not only in mental health, but in our life situation. Educate yourself. Read, study, talk to somebody about it. But the first pillar, I think you say, is neuroscience and mental health.
Yes.
And why should everyday people care about what is neuroscience and mental health?
Well, for us average everyday people, that's basically brain. How your brain impacts your mental health.
Right.
Now, why is that important? It's important because what I learned is you got the amygdala. That's the part of your brain that can get stuck in fight or flight. And if you have, I always use that example, like, well, if you've been known to grew up into a neighborhood or conditioned to be in a neighborhood that's violent, drug dealing, guns, violence, you're being conditioned to be that way. And what happens is you always stuck in survival mode. So what happens is you can have neuroplasticity, which will actually help rewire your brain from thinking that you have to be stuck in that mode to, hey, I can do something else with myself and be a better person. Now, again, this is not clinical, so please don't go out there and say Terrance said my brain, but this is not clinical, but it's just an example on how that brain works. And then we talk about the frontal cortex, and then you talking about other parts of the brain that impacts how we see things, how we view things. And it's just amazing because we all think like the brain is the central nervous system and it operates everything, but it goes back to, I'm gonna go down from pillar 1 to pillar 4. Your nutrition, what you put in your gut impacts your brain. So a lot of people don't know that. So again, if you're eating the wrong foods at the wrong time, that can impact you, how your day's going. It can make you sluggish. It can make you feel lethargic. All these things are impactful, and that's why we want to talk about how we can evolve how we see it and get it into every household, just as a tool for the families.
Right. And that's a great segue to the nutrition part. That's why my clock keep going off. I think our engineer Jamie over there looking like, right, what is that beeping on the? That's my phone going off, guys. That say, hey, Wade, you need to check your sugar, blah blah blah. But anyway, I do have it set. But anyway, just so it won't mess anybody up or confuse anybody what's actually happening here. So you was talking about the nutrition. What about physical health? What about exercise, sleep? How do that affect our mental health?
Well, when we talking about physical, we've just had this conversation about vitamin D going out there in the sun. One thing we do know is when COVID happened, people were isolated. Mental health issues increased. That's the fact. That's what the data told us.
Yes, sir.
Why? People weren't going out, getting exercise. And the exercise part helps release those chemicals in the brain that helps us feel good. And that's why walking, that's why doing light, moderate exercise is always one of the things your doctors say, because it's just naturally that the body does things when we exercise. Now, to another point, what happens when we don't exercise? If you break your leg and you can't go out there and get no exercise in, and you can't walk right no more, depression can set in.
Yeah.
You break your arm and the doctor tell you, or you have to lose a limb, that can cause depression. Because think about it, if the doctor tell you physically we're gonna have to remove your arm, or someone you know has a stroke, physically they left side can't move or right side can't move, that could lead to depression. That could lead to other things, high blood pressure. All these things impact us. So working out, whether it's moderate, light walk, jogging, all those things help us with that. Just releasing those beautiful chemicals that our brain has to help us feel better and help us feel good.
I'm gonna tell you, you led me into this segue here, and when you was talking about the broken bones and stuff. Why are we I want to keep dealing with our men, because I want our men to really understand what's happening here. We would go, if we got a broke leg, we got a broke arm, we'd go to the doctor to get it fixed. Why we won't do the same thing for that broken heart, or that broken spirit, or that broken mind mentally? Why would we not go get some help?
That's a great question. And my only answer, or in my opinion, would be because we don't know. Because we don't know that we can go get help for our mind. Help for our mind means, it's just like I'm pivot back to exercise. Why do we exercise? Because that day you're going to feel broke down. But guess what? When you go to your doctor, you ate right, you exercise, you lost a little weight, it helps your blood pressure, it helps your cholesterol. So when we're talking about our mind, we've never been taught how to address our minds. We've never been taught how or why support groups matter. And that's when I always tell people, get involved with NAMI in that regards, because those support groups, as you just said, if you break your leg, the doctor not going to tell you to walk outside. They're going to either put you in that wheelchair or they're going to give you a cast, or they're going to give you crutches. That's support. Then they're going to tell you have to go to your physical therapist. What's the physical therapist job? To help you get your leg or your arm back to at least, if not 100%, close to 100% as possible. So with our minds, how do we do that? We do that by, you're going to hear me say MHE again, by getting educated, by learning coping mechanisms, by learning what to eat. Not necessarily, the modules ain't gonna say what you should eat personally, but it opens up that dialogue with your nutritionist. It opens up that dialogue with your psychiatrist or your psychologist.
Wow.
Or you just learn that maybe I need to just, instead of eating fried chicken a day, eating ribs tomorrow, maybe I can substitute and have one of those a week and cut back.
Yeah, and that's a great point. When we was talking about exercise and stuff, for me, I think exercise is a strong start for my mental health. When I exercise, I can think clearer. But when I'm tired, man, I have these brain fogs. You be cranky. That's the craziest part for me. Just taking care of your physical body, just taking, and Jamie and I have this discussion all the time, because I tell him he really eats great, and I don't eat as well as he do, but poor physical health can contribute to anxiety and depression, I think.
Yes, it will. No, it will. It will. That's a great statement, because it does. And that's when the nutrition aspect, and that's the thing that mental health evolution is trying to do. It's trying to just bridge that gap, because everything you mentioned, that's why we try to cover those 4 pillars, because a lot of us don't understand that they work together like a hand in glove. We don't understand that what we eat impacts our brain, whether we in depressed mood. We don't understand if I don't go get sunlight, that can impact your mood. We don't understand that when we're dealing with grief, there's certain things our brain is doing. We don't understand that because we're not educated on knowing it. So a lot of times people think, oh, I have to go to a therapist. That might be necessary. But getting just regular knowledge and education on how you can take baby steps at home to start addressing these things is what we're trying to fill that gap in. And we just want people to understand, like, you don't have to go to the clinician to get support. You can go through a NAMI support group. You can talk about MHE and learn why I'm an advocate for mental health and why I'm an
for our
advocate
viewers,
for pillars.
Terrance, you keep saying NAMI. Tell our viewers what is NAMI.
Oh, yes. NAMI is, again, I used to be an outreach coordinator for NAMI, Piedmont Tri-County here in the South Carolina region. But NAMI stands for National Alliance on Mental Illness, and they have 3 tiers. They got the national, they have a state, and then the local affiliate. I always encourage people to get involved with your local affiliate because they're the ones who are out here doing great work, and everything they do is free. The team I used to work with, they offer mental health first aid, which is another thing that can help the communities understand mental health better. So I just encourage anybody to utilize these resources because we don't want barriers to be the reason why we don't address mental health.
I hear you, brother. I was trying to look up and find out. I think you got one called Faith and
Yes,
one pillar. But and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Many churches began to talk about the mental health, which I'm happy about that because for too long, church would, like you said earlier, church say, "Hey man, just go pray about it," and that was it. They left you hanging. But I'm glad they are really more openly to talk about the reduce of stigma, breaking the myth of mental illness. Breaking the myth of mental illness is a spiritual failure. So normally people say go pray about it, but now we understand that it's not a spiritual failure. It's like having a condition like depression. Depression does not mean a person has weak faith. In the past, many Christians was told to simply pray away that struggle, but today church leaders are realizing that silence causes shame. By talking about it, churches want to be safe and let the person that know that's dealing with these struggles, they let them know that, hey, we're more open now. Let's talk about these things. Let's put it out there to the masses now. And, so let's talk about combining faith and science.
Well, one thing I think, it's like the old saying where the guy was in the boat, him and another individual, and the guy said he was praying that God save him. And a boat came by, and the guy that was in the boat with him got out and got on that boat. And they said, "You coming?" He said, "No, I'm waiting for God to save me." So another boat came by. He told him the same thing. Then a third boat came by. And all of a sudden, the dude drowned. And the story goes that, when he got to heaven, they said, "Why didn't you get on the boat?" "Because God, you were supposed to save me." He said, "I sunk 3 boats." So when it comes to this, it's the reason why we do have clinicians and psychiatrists, because they're the one. And this is, I'm gonna break this down in a way that people can understand. Because again, when I was coming up, I thought the same thing. They don't know me. They don't know my background. They don't know X, Y, and Z. But then once I started getting educated, I realized they do a thing called case studies. They take people from the same environment. They take people with the same background, and they do that study, and then they come up with whatever the scientific methods, and then they come up with their hypothesis, and they come up with what they consider to be the theory of the answer. When they get educated, that's God's way of telling us, "I'm sending you help. I'm sending you. I have someone who's a licensed therapist that can help you resolve some of your issues, help you manage your issues." But what we do is we look at the faith aspect and the religion aspect as God's going to do it for us. No, he gave somebody the ability to do it. He gave so when we ignore science and say, "Well, I'm gonna just wait for God to do it," again, the Creator gonna be looking like, I got people with PhDs who learned this because I gave them the ability to learn and help his fellow man. Because Jesus told him, "Greater work shall you do." That's what Jesus told him. So that's what that means. So when it comes down to having that faith and that spiritual aspect, we have to understand it's a reason why God's sending that person with that PhD to help you.
Yeah,
It's a reason why
Yeah.
that they're telling you to go to that clinician because they have that God spirit that helps us in that regard and connect those dots.
And I
in
like
my
that.
opinion.
I like that. And we at the church, we are now we are telling people, hey, go and get some mental counseling, go and get some help. It's just as good as taking medicine for physical sickness. So it's good to impair. So it's good to pair the two together, prayer and spiritual support.
And Brother Wade, let me just add this, because I tell people all the time, your brain really does not care what religion or denomination you follow. Your brain ain't, because again, that's what people has to understand. Like, your brain is wired to do what it's supposed to do, operate your body. And taking that information, make sound decisions, grab a hot pot, your nerves tell you the pot hot. So that's where our brain doesn't get filled with the information that it chooses to have. It gets filled with the information we choose to fill it with. Right. So when it comes down to that spiritual aspect and trying to figure it all out, I just look at the professionals now as a grown individual and say, I understand now why you guys are able to do this. Because now I tie what they tell me with my spirituality to make sure I take my medication. Because yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am on medicine. I take medication. Why? Because if I don't, the side effect might be worse than not taking it. I mean, when I say side, I'm talking about if I don't take my medicine, I could be off the chain. Versus taking my medicine, and then they say, well, the side effects is you might sleep all day. I'd rather sleep all day than be out here and be a danger to myself.
Right. Because, off the camera, you was talking about, I think you talking about like your grandmother or something, not your grandma, but we was talking about the grandmother, make sure what she's dealing with, they saying, hey, it's Alzheimer's, but it could be a medication.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's one thing that in our community, I'll say we may not look at. A lot of times, if you do have a parent that's elder, 65, 70, 60, whatever, a lot of times they may be doing things that we say, well, they forgot or they're forgetting. They must be getting in touch with dementia, Alzheimer's. It could be some medication that they're taking that could have similar, it could be a similar thing where they might be forgetting, but it might not be because of dementia. It could be due to the medication. So a lot of times what I tell people is make sure you just check with their doctors and see what are some of the side effects of the medication before it's jumping to the conclusion that she's 77 and she might have dementia.
Yeah. Hey, touch on this. Let's go back. And coming up, my mom was a foster parent where, man, we had, it was tons of kids that came through my family. And, but let's touch on that. Like when you adopt kids and stuff, you really need to know backgrounds, what they've been through. And, you need to know some type of history behind, because you could be setting those kids up for failure because you don't know the history behind what they grew up in.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's one of our modules or presentations we do, which is geared towards foster children. Because a lot of times, as you said, those foster children may have been to 2, 3, 4 different homes. Sexual abuse, trauma, physical abuse, all bullying, all that plays a part in it. And what we want to do is make sure that our communities understands that if you're going to adopt a child, look at this module to see what they may be going through. So if they're at school and you just think they're acting out or bad grades, it may be something underlying. Or if you start recognizing like, oh, they don't want to stay home with or go to such and such house, that could be a sign of abuse. But a lot of times we're not looking at that. We're just looking at the fact like, oh, well, I understand they're foster children. I understand they grew up a little rough, but do you really understand what they're going through? And this is how that module opens up Pandora's box. So parents, grandparents, agencies can start sharing that information and say, look, let's look at this because you're about to adopt this child and we want you to understand what that child may or may not have endured while in somebody else's home.
I truly agree with that. Jamie, if you don't mind, Jamie can enlighten, and I'm just going to Jamie behind the camera, guys, and I'm gonna talk to you about it. And this is what I've seen. This is what I see. I know he don't have a camera, but Jamie, I think you'll still be heard. Don't worry about it. This is what I've seen. What is going on here when we have the kids went through some trauma when they was kids, and throughout 20 years they dealt with it, but when they seemed like when they got 40 and 50, seemed like that trauma just reinvented itself or just came back, and they started dealing with that trauma like they dealt with it when they was a kid. Anybody, have y'all saw any of that before?
Yeah, I'm seeing it right now in myself.
Yeah. You know, did you just mask it, or we just covered up for 10 years or 15 years or 20?
You don't know what you're doing.
Jay, but listen, in your 20s, did you deal with that? Or it seemed like it came like a mighty rushing wind when I became 40 and 42, 45 somewhere. Right. Because I've been seeing it more, and I've been seeing it more in people when they get in their 40s and 50s. I don't know if that's some type of science behind that. What is about this delay?
What we don't know is when we don't grieve the right way, when situations happen and we don't grieve the right way, we don't process it, we don't cry, we don't like sit with it and like feel the pain and stuff like that. We store it. We store it in our bodies and stuff, and then next thing you know, we having panic attacks and all that crazy stuff.
Let me interject, because I promise you, you just hit something on the head. That's one of the things we don't understand. You will hold that trauma, and it's going to, those 4 pillars, it's going to show up physically. Stress, you start having headaches, you start, your body, listen, that's the beautiful thing about the 4 pillars, because when I try to tell people what you were just saying, it works together, and one off, it can impact where all of a sudden somebody might start losing their hair. They don't know why. Stress. You don't, because again, remember I said earlier about the amygdala and we stuck in flight or flight? A lot of times we stuck in flight or flight just because we never turned it off. And when you have that stress and then you try to suppress the pain, it could come out at the wrong time, and that 1 second can lead to a lifetime of misery. So that's the reason why, and it goes back. You mentioned something about just holding on to, when you just holding on to that pain. Oh man, I'm telling you, panic attack. I had a panic attack one day, and that's when I knew it was one of the worst. I thought I was having a heart attack, and I called my wife, and I told her, I said, if this is gonna be the last day, I said, I just want to tell you I love you. Yeah. And she said, this is the thing. She said, breathe. She said, breathe. Control your breathing. I got my breath under control, parked the car. She said, I'll come pick you up. And that goes back to why the training matters, the education matters. That's why, again, like you say, when you hold all that in, it can just be detrimental to your heart attack. That's why when you see people talking about, oh man, he was in great shape, but he had a heart attack. His job.
Wow.
His job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, let's just stay right there for a little while. Hey, Jamie, because I want you got your mic up, Jamie?
Yeah, I found one somewhere.
Okay. I want you to stay right there, because, man, this is going to help so many people, because it has been troubling me, because I've seen it not only a few people, but I deal with so many people that say, man, I thought I was through with it. I thought I was dealing with that trauma. I thought I was finished with it, but seemed like now it come back harder than it was when I was younger. It come back harder.
Right.
And now I'm older and I'm having a tough time dealing with it. So, man, I want to help that person out there. Give us something that we can help us, you know. And like I say, this is educational. It is educational right now.
Yeah. A lot of it is like, I think the way out, which is what I'm learning, is the way out is your response. The response to what you feel. Because you're going to feel it because you've been through it. So your nervous system is going to feel it. That's just is what it is. But the response, what you do to respond, is what I think kind of lifts you out, because it's telling your nervous system, all right, this don't mean the same thing as it's meant all these years. Like, this ain't a threat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you got to kind of train your nervous system. Like, okay, this feels bad, but I don't have to do this response. I'm gonna do this instead. And then after a while, you got a different response for that feeling. And now, like, you kind of take the power away from that.
Yeah. And that's I think that's very beautifully said, because that's it. Like, when you say, like, from when somebody first experienced, I think one of the things that we have to do is understand is who we was is not who we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you was a child who was abused, that child was abused, and yes, that child may have been abused, but you as an adult, you stripped that away and you left it away. That's not, you're a new creature. And I use that to say it like this. I told somebody, I said, when I got married to my second wife, she was Miss McCombs. But when I married her, she is now Miss Randolph. Who she was before I married her, she not the same.
You
I
know like that.
And that's the same way we have to look at, like you said, those responses, man. When you start growing, you just be like, I refuse to allow that to jump into my spirit and control the way I respond or act towards it. That's, and you said earlier, maturing and growth. And that's where the education comes in, and that's where you do learn from therapy. Like, you got to be a better person.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say, I know, and we are three black men sitting here, but it's not only in the black man society. I mean, of getting some help, the numbers are far greater on the black men, and you know, between our Caucasians, brother. But it's only a few percentage different. But why do we struggle to seek help? Why do we struggle? And I know we talked about that earlier, but I want a deeper dive in there, because we struggle to seek help because I know I don't know you guys much younger than I am, but we was taught to and we was a program, I would say program, to say, hey man, men are not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to say, hey, I'm hurt. I got a broken heart. I got a broken mind. I need help. We was programmed, especially us baby boomers. We was programmed. We wouldn't go get no help for anything, man. You know, and I like last episode, I say we will mask it. Not that I ever had to do it, drink or anything like that. But I knew a lot of my brothers, not my brothers, I'm just talking about my brother, people in general, they would use the alcohol to mask that pain. And they thought that was the be all. Hey, you know what? I can go get this bottle of gin. I can go get this bottle of, I can't think of no other alcohol, young. Like I said, I wouldn't drink it. But anyway, I've seen a lot of it, and they say, hey man, this take care of everything. This numbs all the pain.
There you go.
This numbs all the pain. But it's only numbing the pain for that minute. Yep. It's only numbing the pain for that second, but it ain't fixing anything. And I just don't want our brothers to go hurt their families, or the females to go hurt their family, because there's some mental episodes going on, there's some trauma going on, there's some grief, there's some anxiety going on, and then you go hurt your family.
Right.
This might be controversial though. You know, I'll be going there.
Yeah.
When you talking about why is it the black men or black people? I think, and this, I don't know if I'm going too deep with this, but I think it's because we've been validating, should I say? Validating our responses to our trauma. Like, we've taken identity. We've put our identity is our trauma.
I know we were talking about that.
Right.
Go ahead, speak on that, Jamie.
And the only reason why I say this is because I got an example with my brother, right? He went to Iraq. He did a little stint in Iraq or whatever. And we both were in foster care. We got adopted by the same people. But he went to Iraq. So now he has PTSD, right? Combat PTSD. I got PTSD too. It's whatever. But he is in this mode to where and I don't know if he can hear this now, but I don't really care. He in this mode to where he uses the PTSD as a pass to respond.
Scapegoat.
Yeah, to respond and act like he wants to act, and then not be accountable for it. So it's hard for me, like, to talk to him. And when I talk to him, he does all the like yelling and stuff. Like, bro, that's not the PTSD. That's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Okay.
can control. Right. You can control your response. I get it. I know you feel the way you feel, and I know those sensations when they come over. You know, they're gonna take. You're gonna feel it, but you can choose not to be yelling at me like a lunatic. Matter of fact, if you're gonna do that, don't hit me up about the subject no more. You know what I'm saying? But I think brought it up because I think like us as Black people, we've kind of identified too much with what has happened to us in America. Not that we don't feel the effects of it,
Right. I know.
but we use it as a. I feel like we use it as a pass to act like.
A crutch.
Yeah, we use it. To act ghetto, to act entitled, to act just like, well, this happened to us, so like this is our condition. Okay, what do we? The first step out of that is we got to act different, right?
Facts.
Like we can't keep acting like the people that was traumatized, and then well, you know what I'm saying? Like,
You know, for me, and I agree. One thing I'll say is, because one thing about PTSD, everybody think is war, and I'm telling.
That's what I read it too. It's tied to war.
Yeah, but I keep telling everybody like, no. I said, as you said, your PTSD could be, it could have been getting beat in foster care. That's
what it was.
Right. So again, like when people ask me, like I got it, and they was like, "Oh, was you in war?" I said, "Man, where I'm from, it was like a little war zone. You see cats get shot at, bottles cracked in the head." And I said, this is being conditioned to think it's all right. We was conditioned to think it was okay if we had to rob people. Like, this is real talk. And the older you get, like, to your point, I as a grown man now, I say, no, I'm responsible for my actions. Not, this is a true story, and I'll tell you why, to your point. When Hendrix passed, rest in peace, son. I remember that January, I was at the gym, and I don't lift heavy no more, so I'm in there working out, slamming the weights, and somebody got come up to me, and and most people know me, I talk about mental health, and I'm talking. Most people, if you was go to my gym, they say, "Nah, T, he good dude. He talk mental health." And the guy say, "Hey, man, you shouldn't be slamming the weights." I think he joking, cause, and I said, "Well, yo, my man, I just did 30 reps. I said the weight looked light, but it's heavy after you do a couple sets." And so he tells me it don't matter. So now you got my attention. So basically I went over there and I told him, I suggest you worry about you, don't worry about me. And I said, brother, he's my ancient brother. So then by that time I say, hey, listen to him, blah, blah, blah. Say less, whatever you trying to do. Because then the old me came out. But through getting educated, through having a psychologist, through having a psychiatrist, that talking to my wife, to talking to my baby boy in the spiritual essence. Young guy walked up to me, he said, "Big dog, you all right?" I just laughed and said, man, I told homie I'm about to kill him in here today. And he just don't even know. And I'm saying that, but my mind was thinking pain, grief. My son just died. I'm looking for somebody to blame, and you want to come over here and bother me?
Yes, sir.
I'm about to give you all what you asked.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ding, ding.
Yes, sir.
So then I walked away because then by that time clarity coming, I hear my son saying, "Daddy, you better than that."
Yes,
this
sir.
is a true story.
Yeah.
I really walked away. I heard my son saying, "Daddy, you better than that." So when I tell my wife when I get home, she told me, she said, "Stick out your hand." She popped me on my hand. She said, "You know better than that."
Yes, sir. Yes,
and so I tell people, I always try to think before I do.
Right.
To your point about your brother.
Yeah, so you won't try to blame it. Oh, man.
You can sit there and do all that yelling, but you're yelling. No one's making you yell.
Yeah. I had a brother told me, say, "Hey, man, wait." He was trying to get me very. He say, "Man, tell him when you got, I'm a diabetic." He said, "Well, tell him when you got a diabetic, you have all these reactions. You be mad. I said, "Brother, I can't tell him that because I don't know anything about that." That's right. That's what you making your issue about, but that ain't what it's all about. That may be just you, brother. But anyway, I like that, man, and I'm hoping we help somebody today, guys, because that has been bothering me because I run into it more and more. And when I talk to that person, they say, "Hey, man, I don't know what happened. I just started talking about I got beat when I was a child. I got mistreated real bad. It was this, and man, I run into so many, and I don't know why. I'm on that path now when everybody coming to me, and I say, man, I got to deal with this thing with mental health, man, because it's more apparent than we actually realize. For so many years, we've been calling Uncle Booby and Aunt Susie and Miss Ruby. They just kind of special,
right?
But no, they weren't kind of special. You know, that could have been some mental illness going on that we weren't addressing because we didn't want to take the time to really see what was actually happening. But Terrance, if you don't mind talking about this a little bit, if you don't, it's all good. I can cut it out on the camera doing the editing. You said something special about your son and when he was in the NICU and you was talking about nursing. You were saying. Share it with our viewers if you don't mind. If you don't, I can cut it out. If you know,
I don't mind because one thing I'm gonna end up doing. I don't know if we got golfers. I don't know how to golf, but I'm gonna learn because I'm gonna end up having a golf tournament to raise money for scholarships. Because my wife and I are thinking about a foundation to get Black or minority nurses involved in the NICU because he had one primary, and even though she worked one day a week, I think it was, but she loved him to death. Mm-hmm. And when he transitioned, she came out there and sat with us. Her and my wife still cool today. And he had another nurse from Gastonia who looked after him, and another nurse. But for the most part, he had white females, and that's not a problem because they all love the children. But his energy was a little different when he hear a voice from, like, people might not believe it, but biology says they can tell. Mm-hmm. And for him, he was just such a joy, especially to those nurses, and those nurses loved him.
Wow.
And me and my wife seen the impact that he would definitely have while he was in their care. And for me, I want to make sure that any baby of color that's in that NICU can make sure they have a person of color to help take care of. That's really, honestly, maybe that's the purpose he put me on it. I don't know, wow. But that's really one of the driving forces in this whole program is to start that scholarship to help our nurses, whether it be at HBCU, Winston-Salem State, A&T, wherever, to be able to get involved with NICU and help take care of those babies, man. I mean, it was just a beautiful thing to see.
Wow.
Hey, that's
go ahead, Jay.
I'm gonna interject because I can really relate to what he's saying because, like I said, I had a boy in NICU for like 5 months, and that's real because and I'm so glad his therapist ended up looking like, not his therapist, my bad, his surgeon ended up looked like him because it was a real tedious surgery, and then just being in that NICU every day and seeing how everybody else move, it's kind of like another day for them. And like sometimes they be slow to move, they don't be looking toward progress and all that. And so they had him on the feeding tube or whatever.
G tube.
Yeah. For longer than he was supposed to because they're just, like I said, they weren't. It's just every day, same thing. And I'm like, okay, what are we doing today? What's changing? And it took for the surgeon to come up there to check on him and say, why is he still on this tube? What is he? He's supposed to be. And they're like, oh, and then took him out the tube, and then maybe a couple of days we end up going home. They would have had him in there for another month.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, well, and again, even our nurse, that's one thing, before, she would always say, it'd be certain things, she'd just be like, nah, they shouldn't be doing that. And you know what I mean? Right. Again, that's another story for another day. Okay. And look, and again, me and you might connect on that. Because again, that's one of the things that we're trying to make sure we can do. Families who go through this, man, it's no matter what race, creed, color, it's one of the toughest things you'll ever encounter. Because I'm just sitting here reflecting when he had to go to the 7th floor, which was cardiac, where he had to have a surgery. Then he had to go back down to the regular one, NICU. But again, I really want to do my part to make sure those nurses have
That's
some
good.
access to it, because that means it really means a lot.
Yeah, man. When you start your scholarship foundation on that, man, make sure I want to give in on that too, man. So So Terrance, it's been real today. I truly appreciate you joining us today. But Terrance, any last thing you want to say to our people? Tell them how they can get in touch with you, how they can get to be a part of this MHE, this mental health evolution.
Yes, sir. I'll say if anybody wants to book me to talk or forum, or you can reach me at mentalhealthevolution4@gmail.com. If it's pertaining to veterans and MHE, you can reach me at veteransbridgeinc.com. That's the website. Or you can reach me at 803-470-6444. That is Veterans Bridge number. But again, how you can get involved, if you're looking to change how your community sees and talks about mental health, you can get involved with me to do a presentation. We have low rates. If you want the modules and have access for the whole year for your congregation, for whether you're talking about the sheriff's department, whether you're talking about fire department, you can contract us to have access to that whole year, where you can have that for your new hires, to be able to see and understand how your mental health could be impacted by this job. It's just not all what they say, glitz and glamour. Sometimes you can't turn it off. Sometimes you might have to see a person in a deadly accident. How does that impact your mental health?
And I think you've been in law enforcement before, so just touch briefly on, because we're going to touch briefly on that, how it can help in law enforcement.
Well, it can help law enforcement because, one, a lot of times people don't understand, or law enforcement don't understand, like once you in that mode and you on high alert, it's hard to turn it off. Even if you off of work at night, you might be working a 12-hour shift. It's hard to turn it off at night, because then you've been taking caffeine, and it goes back to the nutrition. If you're taking caffeine, whether it's a Red Bull, whether it's a Monster, that puts your senses on high alert still. So it impacts you as law enforcement, where you might be jittery, not even realize it. Make a decision based off of not necessarily rational decision, but based off of just the caffeine flowing, the adrenaline pumping. So again, I would just say, if anybody wants to see that module in law enforcement admin, I would love to share it so they can get a look and say whether it would be beneficial to the new hires or even the ones you do have in office already. I just think it's a benefit for the community. I think it's a benefit in the education tool for pastors, black men, DSS, everybody. I just want the chance for people to get the opportunity to look at the module or book me for the presentation. But the modules are there for the access that they can have.
And let me just clear, the module is for everybody, just not one group of people.
Yeah. I have a multitude of modules, and I usually just say for the community. Yeah, but we do have specific for law enforcement, specific for first responders. We do have education pieces for the school system, talking about MTSS and absenteeism. So we just, if somebody wants that list, I'll send that list to you. And if they are interested, matter of fact, they can get with you. If they can't get a hold of me, let's talk. And let's see how we can bring this to the communities.
Yes, sir. Hey, I truly appreciate you joining us today, everyone. This conversation reminds us that mental health isn't just about illness. It's about education, awareness, healing, and connection. Whether you're a parent, whether you're a pastor, teacher, or law enforcement officer, business leader, or just someone simply trying to become healthier, remember, seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. And as always, thank y'all for joining Worthy Conversation. I'm your boy, Wade J. And if this episode encouraged you, share it with somebody. Tell them about it. Subscribe to us, guys. Listen, I need more of you guys to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you guys that the Facebook is blowing up. TikTok is blowing up. I need YouTube to grow just like everything else. So guys, thank you for keep on subscribing. Thank you for tuning in to Worthy Conversation. Again, Terrance Randolph, Jamie Engineer, and I'm your boy Wade J. And I'll say peace. I'm out of here, guys. Bye-bye.